There are two stories about AI and electricity right now. One says we're building an energy monster that's going to break the grid. The other says it's a rounding error and everyone should calm down. Both of those are wrong, but not in the way you'd expect. The problem isn't that people are exaggerating the numbers. Most of the headline numbers are roughly right. The problem is that they're using the wrong denominator. Everything here comes from one source. Hannah Ritchie's July 2026 analysis for Our World in Data, built on International Energy Agency figures. So, 3 questions. First, how much electricity does all of this actually use? Second, what is the constraint that genuinely matters? And third, what does a single query cost you? Start with the total. Data centers worldwide consumed about 485 terawatt-hours of electricity last year. That is roughly the entire annual electricity generation of Germany, and it works out to about 1.5% of the world's electricity. But that figure is all data centers, Netflix, online banking, email, cloud storage, every website you have ever loaded. AI is a slice of that, not the whole thing. The AI-focused facilities used about 155 terawatt-hours, roughly 0.5% of global electricity. Non-AI data centers used the other 2/3. The International Energy Agency's base case has that roughly doubling by 2030 to about 3% of global electricity, with AI accounting for most of the growth. One more thing, most people assume training the models is the expensive part. It isn't. Training Grok 4 consumed about 0.31 terawatt-hours, around 0.2% of its total footprint. The energy goes into inference, into you using it, every single day. 0.5% sounds like nothing, so why is everyone worried? Because electricity is not a global pool. You cannot ship spare capacity from a wind farm in Wyoming to a substation in Northern Virginia. Grids are local, and that changes the entire picture. Across the whole United States, data centers use about 5% of electricity. AI specifically, around 2%. In Europe, 1.6%. Now zoom in. In Ireland, data centers consume more than 20% of the entire country's electricity. In Virginia, it's more than a quarter. And nearly half of all United States data center capacity sits in just 5 regional clusters. Read those again. 1 in 4 electrons in Virginia, 1 in 5 in an entire country. That is the real constraint, not global supply. Local grid capacity. Interconnection queues measured in years and transmission built for a different century. Now the number everyone actually wants. What does one query cost? Google published figures for Gemini. The median text query uses about 0.24 watt-hours. Sam Altman put a typical ChatGPT query at 0.34. Epoch AI independently estimated around 0.3. 3 sources, same ballpark. 0.24 watt-hours is a microwave running for less than 1 second, or a television for about 10 seconds. But it scales hard. A long query, 7,500 words of input, costs about 2.5 watt-hours. A very long one, 75,000 words, about 40 watt-hours. A standard request to an AI agent, 1.2 watt-hours. An agentic request with reasoning, about 50. So it isn't one number, it's a range spanning more than 2 orders of magnitude, depending entirely on what you asked for. Here's the scale, check. The average person in the European Union uses about 17,000 watt-hours of electricity every day. That is equivalent to 6,800 long input queries, or 425 of the absolute maximum length ones. For context, a 1-minute electric shower uses about 160 watt-hours, more than 3 of those maximum queries. So if you have been feeling guilty about asking a chatbot a question, the data does not support that guilt. But here's the part that actually matters. Everything I've quoted measures electricity, not carbon. Those are different things. The same 50 watt-hour task on a coal-heavy grid versus a nuclear or hydro grid produces wildly different emissions. Same computation, same watt-hours, completely different climate outcome. Which means the decisive variable isn't model efficiency. It's where you build and what powers that grid. So don't ask how much energy AI uses. Ask where and ask what's generating it.